Trump Reads the Bible, session 114. Once again, sir, no need to embellish or ad-lib, if you wouldn't mind, and we are rolling.
Well, a certain ruler asked Jesus, he said, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Beautiful question. People ask me that all the time. "Donald, how do I get to heaven?" I say, "I have no idea. But have you seen my golf course in Miami? Talk about heaven." Which begs the question, will there be golf courses in heaven? And quite frankly, there probably will, but they will have no sand traps or water hazards. Well, Jesus says, "You know the commandments," and he says, "All these I have kept since I was a boy." Smart guy, very successful. Then Jesus looks at him and says, "You still lack one thing. Sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven." Well, the man was very sad. He went away. So sad. Instead of doing a deal, I would say to Jesus, how about 40% to the poor, and with the rest we build affordable housing, a big, beautiful building for all the poor. We develop the land, we create jobs. It's a win-win. Well, Jesus looks at the rich ruler and says, how hard it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. But with God, all things are possible. What a terrific message from Jesus, one of the greatest people, and we know a lot of people. Well, if you'll excuse me, I need to make some phone calls. I have to find a contractor who can build me the world's biggest needle.
Well, welcome back to Mark Mosley Show, and apparently you guys cannot get enough of Trump reading the Bible. It continues to be popular, especially on the YouTube there. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're growing slowly, but we are growing, and we want more subscribers so we can get to the magic number to monetize on YouTube. Actually, Trump did read the Bible in real life again last Sunday. Now 2 times he's read the Bible that we know of at the Rededicate 250, the National Jubilee of Prayer, Praise, and Thanksgiving event, which happened on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and that was a day-long prayer and worship gathering tied to America's upcoming 250th birthday anniversary. We hope to have some very special news about America's 250 specific to this show, and something that we will have to offer to you here in the next couple of weeks. So stick around. Thousands of people, though, attended this thing. Music, testimonials, prayers, messages emphasizing the nation's religious heritage, and a call to rededicate America as one nation under God. He read from 2 Chronicles. No, that's how he said it. Not 2 Chronicles. He called it 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles. That's okay. That's all right. Biden would have called it 2 Chronicles. Something like that. Yeah, we're going to read from 2 Chronicles. What? Is it pudding time? And of course, you know, the left, they just lose their mind anytime we have any kind of event having anything to do with government, where people are praying or talking about the Bible, or God forbid, mention the name of Jesus, or just doing anything remotely Christian in nature, because separation of church and state, which is not in the law, which is not in the Constitution. And darn you, Thomas Jefferson, why did you ever have to write that stupid letter to the church at Danbury about separation of church and state? Because it's just been so misused over the years. But look, that phrase is taken out of context. It's just like the Bible itself, you know, when you, Mr. or Mrs. Liberal, is reading the Bible and you go, ooh, I found a verse here that I like. And like I always say, if you like that verse, keep reading. Keep on reading and put it in context, because context matters. And context matters in the case of Thomas Jefferson's letter to the church at Danbury, because you know, he was responding specifically to their concerns that their particular brand of practicing their Christian faith was going to be somehow outlawed, or they wouldn't be able to do it in America, because that's the whole reason why a lot of these different groups that founded different colonies, you know, the Dutch and just people that were fleeing religious persecution in England from the Church of England. So they were afraid to be a minority sect of the Christian faith in America. And that's the reassurance that Thomas Jefferson was giving them when he said we should have a wall of separation between church and state, to be able to say, no, you guys are going to be okay. We're not just gonna make, Church of England 2.0 over here. We're going to reset it, and everybody's going to be free to practice whatever religion they want, or no religion at all. And that's what separation of church and state actually means. It means that whatever you practice, Baptists, we are very big on baptism. That's why it's called Baptist. And people of different Christian sects have different things that they find are more important to them. What the left has perverted the phrase separation of church and state into is to mean separation of church from state. Yeah, church from state, like the two shall never meet or overlap. No, that's not what Jefferson was saying, and that's not what the Constitution says when it says Congress shall make no law establishing a specific religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And that's all it says, and then they stopped talking. It does not say Congress cannot open a session with prayer. It doesn't say Congress can, no one in Congress can pray publicly or read the Bible in front of the lectern there in the House of Representatives. It says nothing like that. What it says is Congress cannot pass a law making one religion the official religion of America. And that's all it means. They just stopped talking. But the left sees this whole Christian nationalism, or they like to get dramatic, so they like to throw a little hyperbole in there and call it Christo-fascism, which is, just to make it more of a boogeyman, the boogeyman that's going to jump out of the closet any day now, and we're going to be in some kind of theocracy in America, like they have in Iran, which the left doesn't want to change. But good for Iran, bad for America. I get it. There's no double standard there. There's no hypocrisy there whatsoever. The boogeyman is not about to leap out of the closet and make your wife dress like she's out of The Handmaid's Tale. It's not going to happen. Calm down, okay? Calm down. Calm down. Just like you guys like to say, calm down. No one's trying to take away all of your guns. Calm down. So now let's read some comments about Trump reading the Bible. Comments online. Stop making 250 years about this Christo-nationalist crap. The founding fathers were not evangelicals and wanted the separation of church and state very, very badly. Well, that's just not true. Just factually not true. You cannot support that with facts. It's an opinion, but 52 out of the 56 men that signed the Declaration of Independence were deeply committed Christians. Now, the argument's been made by historians that many of them were, theistic rationalists. They believed in God and morality, but they emphasized reason over revelation or scripture or dogma. But you see, this person carefully chose the word evangelicals because you got to tilt the argument in your favor through exaggeration. We see you. We see you. And no, most founders did not want strict separation. Many founders believed religion was essential to Republican government, a republic, not Republican as in the party, which didn't exist then, but Republican government and public morality. Washington, Adams, both John and Samuel, John Witherspoon, Patrick Henry, and others actively supported religion in the public square. They opened Congress with prayer. They had paid chaplains. They attended church services in government buildings, and they issued religious proclamations. Only a minority of the founding fathers pushed hard for separation. Those included Jefferson and Madison. Jefferson wrote the Wall of Separation line in that private letter in 1802, not an official founding document, just a letter, like an email. Okay? Most other founders had a much more accommodationist view. Now, the historical reality of those times was that Several states had established churches or religious tests for public office, and the ratification of the Constitution actually played against that. And some of those people were not happy about you could practice whatever religion you want. But it was the best thing for us all. And I think my liberal friends would agree with me on that. But the founders were far more afraid of government controlling church than the church influencing government. So you got it backwards. Here's another comment about Trump reading the Bible. I was waiting for a spontaneous combustion. Well, I've made that joke on this show. That's some pretty low-hanging fruit, which is what we specialize in on this show. This podcast having been described recently by one person as the podcast equivalent of making balloon animals. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll embrace that. And one more comment here on Trump reading the Bible. It's weird being preached at by a felon who broke all 10 commandments and is guilty of all 7 deadly sins. I see. Pretty sure Trump has never killed anybody. You might be thinking of Hillary Clinton. I'm not sure. And as far as the 7 deadly sins, well, we've all broken all of the 7 deadly sins. Every single one of us. So I guess you, dear commenter, are just as bad as Trump. No, seriously, we've all broken the 7 deadly sins. Do I need to list them for you? Here we go. Pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. We've all, every single one of us, to a person, broken all of the 7 deadly sins. And the Bible diet is here. Yes, the Bible diet is in vogue right now. In a time when people seem less interested in scientific facts and eager to implement spiritual and religious guidance in aspects of their lives, it's no surprise that we have such a thing as biblical eating. Adopted by a growing community of at least a few 100,000 people, the new eating trend focuses on consuming mainly foods mentioned in the Christian Bible. There's a 27-year-old biblical eating influencer, Kayla Bundy, and she's so popular on TikTok. She shares recipes and tips with her 500,000 followers, and she's turned her unique diet into a business now. She sells a digital guide to biblical superfoods and books coaching sessions to teach people how to eat from the Bible. Or you could just pick the book up. It's all in there. Eat whole natural foods that appear in Scripture. It's very plant heavy with some clean meats. For example, figs, dates, grapes, pomegranates, olives, apples, melons, apricots, and berries. Lentils, beans, onions, garlic, leeks, cucumbers, bitter herbs, coriander, mint, dill, and cumin. Wheat, barley, millet, spelt, Ezekiel bread, sprouted grains. Clean animals, per Leviticus 11. Lamb, goat, beef. Fish with fins and scales, like salmon, cod, and tuna. Chicken, turkey, quail, dove, and some other clean birds. Eggs, raw goat milk, cheese, yogurt. Olive oil, raw honey, nuts, almonds, pistachios, walnuts, seeds like flax seeds, and spices. Then you have your Daniel fasting version, which is very popular, a plant-based partial fast based on the fasting of Daniel in chapters 1 and 10. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbs, olive oil, and water. You must avoid, on the Daniel fast, you avoid meat, dairy, sugar, processed foods, leavened bread, and wine. Now, foods generally avoided in biblical diets, pork, obviously, all the unclean animals, which, by the way, talk about the wisdom of the Bible. You know, people like to say how foolish Christians are to believe in a magic man in the sky that created everything in 7 days. And I always counter with, you believe in a magic woman in the ground who says if you wear this rock around your neck, it can heal your cancer. But don't get me started on that. Pork has been shown to be unhealthy. Bottom-feeding creatures in the ocean, which eat the poop of other things, have been shown to be unhealthy for you. The Bible got it all right. I always talk about in Genesis when God says to Adam, from dust were you formed and to dust you shall return. basically saying that man is made out of dust. And you fast forward a few thousand years later, and only in the last couple of hundred years did scientists figure out that 90% of household dust is what? Human skin. So we literally are dust, just like Genesis 1 said. Once again, the Bible is proven to be true. And it's been proven to be true that you should avoid certain foods because they're just not good for you. That's why God told the Israelites, don't eat that. Don't eat it. And of course, on the Bible diet, many processed foods must be avoided. Thou shalt not eat the cookie with the two black wafers with the center of cream. Thou shalt not eat of the wafers, nor shalt thou eat of the filling, for it is made with titanium dioxide, which has been banned in the land of the Romans for its genotoxicity or potential to harm you on a DNA level. That's right, I'm talking about Oreos. Not mentioned in the Bible, but it should be. They're that bad for you, but man, are they good. Am I right? Am I right, guys? Oh, my goodness. I wonder if there's a extreme Bible dieting, where you just live like John the Baptist in the wilderness. The John the Baptist diet. You only eat locusts and wild honey. Yeah, well, let's not lose our heads here. Oh, and that's the show. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. Only fans of the gospel will get that dad joke there. The rest of you might have to go read Matthew 14 to get that reference. Let's not lose our head here. Well, the EU has gotten X to agree to do the impossible to censor hate speech on X. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to happen, but X has agreed to strengthen its measures against illegal hate speech and terrorism content in the UK. Because, the UK's got it all figured out. They know exactly what is and is not hate speech. They know exactly what is and is not hate speech in the UK. Yes, our European friends have just got it all figured out. The platform will now review suspected illegal content within an average of 24 hours and assess at least 85% of reports within 48 hours, and will block access to accounts linked to prescribed terrorist organizations and submit quarterly performance data to some EU media regulator called Ofcom. The agreement comes after a series of anti-Semitic attacks and hate-motivated incidents targeting the Jewish community in the UK. Well, okay, good. I guess I'm okay with that part of it. But again, I, like everybody else, have my own subjective idea of what is and is not hate speech. And what we clearly need to fight hate speech, since it is completely subjective, is we need to just pick one guy for the whole world that will be, if you want to know what hate speech is, you ask him, and that's it. Whatever he says goes. And we'll just have like a big global lottery. We'll just put everybody's name in the world, the name of every person on the planet in like a giant drum. And we'll just spin it and we'll just pull out a name. And whatever whoever's name comes out, that's the guy. And he gets to say what is and is not hate speech. Because I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know how you do this. Because I could walk out of this studio and go ask 5 people here in the office their opinion on a particular topic. And I will get 5 different opinions. And I will get 5 varying degrees of, yeah, I guess that's hate speech. No, you're wrong. That's not hate speech. No, it is. And, a fight will break out in the office here. Meanwhile, I don't know if you've heard of this case. Larry Bushart, a 61-year-old retired police officer from Perry County, Tennessee, was arrested in September of 2025, about 10 days after Charlie Kirk's assassination, for sharing memes on Facebook in a local group discussing a candlelight vigil for Charlie Kirk. And one of his memes that triggered his arrest featured a quote from Donald Trump, quote, "We have to get over it," from after the 2024 Perry High School shooting in Iowa, with the caption, "This seems relevant today." Well, authorities led by the Perry County Sheriff interpreted that meme as a threat of mass violence and charged him with a felony. This guy was held on $2 million bond and spent 37 days in jail before the charges were dropped in October of last year. Now he settled a federal lawsuit against Perry County for $835,000 over unlawful incarceration and First Amendment violations. He lost a post-retirement job and missed family events while he was jailed. It stood out because, many people had backlash for comments about Kirk's assassination, but this guy was one of the very few that was criminally prosecuted and actually imprisoned for a meme, which is a form of protected speech. And I support his release. While I find his joke or his meme about Charlie Kirk to be odious, to be tasteless and disgusting, he has the right to be offensive. That's what we enjoy here in the United States. You have the right to offend. By the way, speaking of hate speech, drinking one particular brand of soda makes you a Nazi. Yeah. The next time somebody says to you, they do one of those stupid comparisons where where Trump does something or says something and they go, well, you know who else criticized the press? Hitler. Just ask them if they drink Fanta. I did not know this until this week. Maybe you did know this, but I never read this story. The Nazis invented Fanta. Actually, not the Nazis specifically, but a German businessman invented Fanta. So Fanta was invented in Nazi Germany during World War II by Max Keith, who was the head of Coca-Cola's German subsidiary. When the U.S. entered the war in 1941, trade embargoes cut off shipments of Coca-Cola's secret syrup to Germany. Okay, Mark, knock it off with the stupid German accent. To keep the company alive and avoid seizure by the Nazis and to retain his workforce, this guy said, let's come up with a new drink since we can't get the Coca-Cola secret syrup. And the ingredients to the new drink will be the following. Whatever we have lying around. They used apple fibers and leftovers from cider presses and beet sugar and whatever fruit scraps they could find. And they made this soda that tasted nothing like the Fanta that we know and love today. It was a cloudy, odd-tasting beverage, but it became incredibly popular in Nazi Germany, sold millions of cases. Germans drank it as a soft drink, used it as a sweetener due to severe sugar rationing. It was consumed by civilians and the military alike. In fact, it was used as a reward by the Nazi regime whenever you do good in battle. Whenever you do good job, they would bring in cases of Fanta, and all the German soldiers would be like, "Yeah, it's Fanta, it's good." And they would reward you with Fanta. One notable story comes from a U-boat commander, Eric Topp, who said he kept cases of Fanta on board along with beer to celebrate successful patrols. Hermann Goering was also reportedly a big fan of the drink. Again, Fanta was not invented by the Nazis or the German government. It was a private commercial product created by a Coca-Cola executive in Germany who was just trying to save his business. And Max Keith never joined the Nazi Party, although he did sell them the drink and make lots of money. After the war, Coca-Cola praised him for preserving the company and later relaunched Fanta in its modern orange form to the U.S. in the 1950s. But the next time you catch a finger-wagging liberal drinking Fanta, ask them if they know who else drank Fanta.
And now, Shallow Thoughts by Al Ibril.
Sometimes my friends and I get together to come up with innovative new ideas for how Democrats can help improve the daily lives of the American people. And then this one single collective thought comes through crystal clear, and we all speak it together. Trump is bad. And then we order dessert.
Yeah, Trump is bad. I will have to give you that. I'll have to give you that. And that's all you've got, so I'll have to give you that. Well, how's that LA mayor race going? Here's the latest. Recent polls show Karen Bass somehow still leading with around 25 to 30%. Spencer Pratt is now number 2. He is polling at 22 to 26%, up significantly from 11% in April. And Nithya Raman is behind Pratt in the 18 to 20% range. A large portion of voters, around, at least 20, somewhere between 20 and 40%, are undecided. The poly markets currently give Bass the strong favorite status to come out on top in the primary. Pratt's gained a lot of momentum now. The way the primary works is the top 2 vote getters on June 2nd will go on to be in the general election, provided no one gets 50% of the vote. Now, if you've got 40% undecided and Karen Bass has got at least 25 of that 40 goes to Karen Bass, then Karen Bass could get over 50% and it could be over. I don't see that happening. How nearly 30% of people in Los Angeles believe that she deserves a second term, I don't know. That just boggles the mind because she's just been a gargantuan failure all around, including, although to be fair, this is really not her fault, but it's not a good look. That Palisades Reservoir that was empty during the fire is empty again. Yes. Take a look at that. Bone dry. That'll snuff out a ton of flame. Residents are not happy about it either. The Palisades, the Santa Ynez Reservoir, which holds drinking water for the Palisades, was empty during that fire and is dry again. A $19.5 million project to replace the floating cover is needed to ensure the quality of the drinking water, but that will keep the reservoir dry until fall. And what if we need it before then? And if they're saying fall, guess what? It's end of the year. The way things work around here, community leaders said they'd rather the reservoir be full of dank, brackish water that's not suitable for drinking than for it to be just empty. You know? We'll buy our own bottled water. We'll get a little purifier and keep it on the counter. Miriam Czar, head of the Palisades Recovery Coalition, said it's a failure to recognize that there is value to this community to have that reservoir full. It should be filled to the gills, whether or not it's potable. I agree. Just fill the dam up. Fill the damn thing up. Fill it up. Well, no, we have to follow state regulations, and there are no exceptions and no exemptions for special conditions. We're not going to fill that damn thing with just any old water. It's got to be drinkable. And meanwhile, Karen Bass has her big initiative with the teeth. Teeth for the homeless. Excuse me, I'm sorry, unhoused. Teeth for the unhoused. What's that? Oh, now I'm being told that unhoused is now dated and racist. Okay. What's the new word? I see. Residentially deprived. For the residentially deprived, because unhoused is now considered racist and elitist? Okay. Yes, the new acceptable term is residentially deprived. And by the time this show is over, that will be dated and will be horrible to say. But here's KB saying free teeth for my street peeps.
How many people who are unhoused that you meet have no teeth at all? They don't have teeth. Why? Because meth rots your teeth. You can't succeed without teeth. So there needs to be comprehensive health care provided to people.
She highlighted, of course, the reality that many residentially deprived persons lose their teeth due to severe meth addiction, stating, quote, you can't succeed without teeth. Well, you also can't succeed with meth. You know, that meth don't math. Bass argued that comprehensive health care, including dental services, is essential to help addicts rebuild their lives, get job, and exit homelessness. When pressed on who would pay for it, Bass said that the care is already covered through California's Medi-Cal program. Well, okay, but I don't know. I don't know if that's such a great idea, because it's not implants, which would be very hard for people to remove. We're talking about dentures. And all you're doing, Karen Bass, is making a new form of street currency. Give the meth addicts dentures, they'll have it for about a day and a half, and then it'll be sold for more meth. It's true. You know it's true. Don't roll your eyes at me. Look, here's what we ought to do. We ought to take Newsom's, we ought to combine two California government programs. We ought to take Newsom's free diapers and give those to the the residentially deprived, and then take the teeth and give them to the babies you were going to give the diapers to. And that way you solve two problems at once. The old switcheroo. Help combat the problem of street poo with the diapers and give the babies the teeth. Now you got something. Now you're working with something. I mean, seriously, what happens when they start selling their bass biters for another hit of meth? And I saw a ton of comments on this story. It's analogous to Biden's, college tuition forgiveness gambit that he tried to run, where, everybody that went to trade school said, hey, what about me? Everybody that worked hard and budgeted and didn't go out to eat and saved their money and paid off their tuition like a good American, they said, hey, what about me? Everybody that has those credit cards where they charge you 28% interest because you made some bad credit decisions said, hey, what about me? So on this one, people are rightly, a little bit miffed, like, oh, we're going to reward bad behavior again? We're going to give meth addicts free teeth? You get a lot of comments like this one. I'm not homeless, but I could use new teeth. I've never used meth. I've worked my whole life, could never afford dental insurance. When I was a kid, we didn't have dental insurance. My dad didn't make enough for us to afford it. This person says, I'm now 70 years old, living on Social Security, checking into it. They want $25,000 for implants. He goes, I'm just going to learn how to gum my food. Well, let's turn our hopes to Nithya Raman. Surely she's got some good ideas. LA mayoral hopeful Nithya Raman proposes backyard barbecue ban. Okay. Time out. Nithya, is it? What's your heritage, sweetheart? Oh, Indian. Okay. Do you know anything at all about Hispanic culture? Do you want to ban backyard barbecues in a city where 47% of the population is Hispanic? Do you want to be mayor or do you not want to be mayor? Because if your goal is to not be the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, you're batting 1,000. Why don't we just go ahead and ban tortillas, Nithya? How about Tejano music? How about those street carts that sell the fruit smoothies? Those carritos de frutas. They're everywhere. It must be stopped. The Dodgers. In fact, baseball all together. Get rid of baseball in the city of Los Angeles. And let's see what else. What's another sport that's hated by Hispanics? Oh yeah, soccer. Soccer's gotta go. Goodness gracious. All right, and that just leaves Spencer Pratt. How's he doing? Well, he was doing great. No fault of his own now, but oh no. Trump is endorsing him. You would think, now the conventional wisdom, you look at what happened this week with all the elections around the country and all the Republicans that got backed by Trump won. This could be the exception, though. Spencer Pratt was doing just fine without your help, President Trump. Here's the problem. You know that Karen Bass and Nithya Raman noodles and the rest of them, they're all looking to attach Pratt to Trump. And Trump just did them a solid. LA is heavily Democratic. And if Spencer Pratt is trying to act like he's kind of an independent, I used to be a Democrat, they kind of pushed me to the center. I'm not MAGA. I'm not a big Trump guy. Pratt's been running a strong, nonpartisan, kind of a common sense campaign that's resonating with people. And Trump coming in here and endorsing him will allow the Democrats and the media to alienate those independent and moderate voters that might have been thinking about voting for Pratt by painting him as a MAGA Republican or even a Trump mini-me. I shall call him mini-me. How could I do that as Trump?
I shall call him mini-me.
Speaking of Trump, let's get some Trump news in here, because Trump just can't do anything right by the left. You can't do anything right by the left. No matter what he does, Trump bad. Trump dropped his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS for leaking his tax returns to Ira Glass. I'm sorry. I meant Rachel Maddow. Sorry, I get those two mixed up. That'll get comments. Yeah, light me up on YouTube. No, Trump dropped his lawsuit, and that says, you know what? Tell you what I'm going to do here. This is what Trump, I think, was thinking. Let me be magnanimous. Let me be magnanimous. I just made up a word. We just created the word magnanimous. We have the best words. We make the best words. So instead of Trump taking the $10 billion settlement from the U.S. government, from the taxpayers, and putting it in the bank for the Trump family, Trump said, I'm not going to put this money in my own pocket. Say it's $10 billion or say it's even $5 billion. He would double his net worth overnight. And the left would have a lot to say about that. So instead he goes, look, I'll do this. Let's have a fund for around $2 billion to help people who got caught up in political persecution by the Biden administration because of January 6th. Now, the left, the only thing they can focus on that's not a win for them. Because a win for them would be, no, Trump clutches his chest and falls over on stage and dies. That would be a win for them. A win for them would be, no, Trump goes to prison for the rest of his life, and we have lots of pictures of him, sitting sullenly on a bench in an orange jumpsuit. That would be a win for them. But this is not a win for the left. All they can focus on is any of that money going to go to people who assaulted police officers on January 6th. As if there's never been a payout, a payday, a check, or a GoFundMe for people that commit political violence. Not an apples to apples comparison, but George Floyd, his family got $27 million. And during the George Floyd riots, many protesters involved in clashes with police, some of them charged with assaulting officers, later received payouts through class action or individual lawsuits claiming excessive force by police. In New York City, in Philadelphia, in Denver, in Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, and Boston, tens of millions of dollars paid to protesters, some of whom were documented clashing with or assaulting officers. So once again, two sets of rules, double standard, hypocrisy on parade. And then the left was super snarky this week. I'm sorry, my iPhone thinks my Apple Watch thinks I'm talking to it. You do this a lot. And the left was super snarky this week when the Trump team tossed out all the gifts that the Chinese gave them. Those sweet, sweet Chinese people, so trustworthy. They just wanted to give Trump a waving cat. That's all. They just wanted to give him a waving cat. And Trump just threw it in the garbage, just spat it back in their faces. At least that's the way it was described by the left, calling the act rude, childish, and petulant, framing it as disrespectful to Xi Jinping and China, mocking it as a sign of paranoia. One user called it the final insult, Another labeled the the entire administration as petulant, spoiled brats for dumping the gifts in a trash bin on the tarmac. Do we really have to waste precious time on this show explaining why you don't bring anything the Chinese government gave you back to the United States? Do I really have to explain it? I shouldn't.
I don't have an answer for
Oh, stop. See, they're listening. They're listening. That proves my point. That could not be more perfectly timed. They're listening. The Chinese are listening. How serendipitous was that? Okay, maybe instead of throwing it in the garbage, Trump could have sold it.
Well, we went to China and they gave us all this junk. Phones, pins, gold statues of Xi, total garbage. We threw it in the trash on Air Force One, and then I said, wait a minute. Your president has a brilliant idea. So I created Ximu. It's like Temu, but better. It's Ximu, the greatest shopping app in the history of shopping apps. We're selling all this Chinese trash directly to you, the American people, at ridiculously low prices. Look at this genuine Beijing burner phone, only $9.99. It might spy on you, it might not. We took the batteries out. That should fix it. How about this commemorative Xi Jinping water flask? They're Xi Jinpinging your location everywhere you go. We've even got a whole box of the classic Chinese waving cat. Look at that, he's waving right at you. He's also recording every word you say. It all has to go. We're taking their gifts, selling them cheap, and passing the savings on to you. Ximu, X-I-M-U, extreme imported merchandise undercut. So download Donald Trump's Ximu app right now. Shop Chinese trash, save American cash. Thank you for your attention to this matter, in all caps.
Hi, I'm Stephen McLaughlin with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Every day, hundreds of racists want to spread hate in their communities, but they are an increasingly marginalized group. Without funding, they are often unable to continue their important work, the work of being racist. This is local racist Randy. Randy hates black people.
And the Indians.
And the Indians. But without your support, he runs the risk of not being able to be racist against anyone at all.
There just ain't no money in being racist these days. I can't even afford to get my KKK robes dry cleaned. They're all covered in barbecue sauce and just don't got no money to fix it, you know?
It's all right. It's all right. No one told you to talk, Randy. With just a small donation to the Southern Poverty Law Center, people like Randy here can continue to spread their message of hate and intolerance.
With the price of lumber, I can't afford to build a cross to burn anymore. But I can with your help.
For just a few dollars a day, I can afford the spray paint I need to put my message out there on places of worship.
And wouldn't that be just great for this world? Call today and we'll send you a picture of a racist in prison that can only make parole with your money. You'll also receive this free tote bag, which also doubles as a Klansman hood. Convenient. Remember, without the Southern Poverty Law Center, racism might disappear forever. And that would be bad for the Southern Poverty Law Center.
I also hate the Mexicans.
Me too.
Just want to put that in there.
We all hate the Mexicans.
Well, I was going to do that same concept in a comedy sketch for this show. Welcome back to Mark Mosley Show. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube and subscribe to the show, please. I was going to do that. I was going to create a comedy sketch called ClanCon 2026. a big racist fundraiser concert event hosted by George Clooney. It was going to be 4th of July weekend and feature the band formerly known as the Dixie Chicks live on stage, and it was going to be awesome. And then the Babylon Bee beat me to it with that video, which I must admit is far superior production value than anything I could come up with on this show with no writers and no budget. So there you go. I don't know, maybe I'll still do it. Leave me a comment on YouTube if you'd still like to hear the comedy sketch ClanCon 2026. Coming this Sunday! Well, it's my party and I'll fire if I want to. A birthday celebration in India went very, very wrong after the birthday boy shot 3 friends for smearing cake on his face. The unusual incident took place last Saturday at a gym in the Khurja town district of Bulandshahr, where young Jitu Sani, oh, I just can't. Enough with the names. It's like you guys got a different word for everything over there in India. Where young Jitu Sani was celebrating his birthday with some friends. When the cake was served, some of Jitu's pals had the audacity to smear cake on his face as a joke. The gesture was met with unexpected hostility by the birthday boy. He stormed out, only to return with a group of men and a licensed gun. Jitu Sani reportedly opened fire on the 3 men he had previously argued with about the cake on the face. During the panic that ensued, he and his accomplices fled the scene and are currently on the run from police. And Indian LA mayoral candidate Nithya Raman just tweeted, "Ban birthday cake." I made that last part up. Well, it's time for our doofus of the week. The headline that went viral recently: Florida woman detained after attempting to ride a shopping cart down I-95 at 3 a.m. with a sail fashioned from a shower curtain. According to the posts on social media, the woman's name was Jessica Marino. Well, that didn't happen. I'm telling you what, 50%, I guarantee you go on Facebook right now, 50%, I put money, 50% of what you read on Facebook is just made up. But if it gets reposted enough times on Facebook, through the miracle of Facebook, it actually becomes true in real life. So that's actually not going to be our doofus of the week. So let's hit the reset button and let's go on with this one. Our big stupid doofus of the week. Grecia Guadalupe Arantes Mendoza went missing on the night of April 12th in a town in Mexico that I would not even attempt to pronounce. Okay, maybe I will. Ocozocuautla de Espinosa. Ocozocuautla. My Spanish pronunciation guide is vowels are always the same in Spanish, and so it's much easier to actually sound things out, but that one is a bear. I can't get through that one. Anyway, this happened in Mexico. Let's put it that way. Well, following a report filed by the young woman's family, police activated the ALBA protocol, a mechanism that initiates immediate actions for searching for missing women. As part of the protocol, police used some of Grecia's social media photos to create missing persons posters they then distributed online and among the local community. Just one problem. According to people who knew the 30-year-old woman, that ain't her in the photos. No, that is not Grecia. I know Grecia. She doesn't look anything like that. Let's see here. Let me pull up her Instagram and just take a look at... Oh, I see the problem here. I see the problem. Yeah, you guessed it already, didn't you? You being a clever viewer of this show. You're terribly clever, and you know my fondness for irony. So, of course, you already figured out the reason why Grecia Guadalupe Arantes Mendoza's social media pictures look nothing like her in real life. Filters. She was heavily filtering all her social media photos. Well, aren't we all? Luckily, they did find some old pictures. They probably used her DMV photo. Yeah, get the DMV photo. That always looks like you on the worst possible day. Luckily, the woman was found alive several days later on a local highway. But imagine the police just driving by over and over again going, no, that's not, it kind of looks like her a little bit. No, let's just keep driving. That's not her. Looks nothing like these pictures we pulled off of Instagram. I don't think hang on, get that DMV picture back out. Oh yeah, that's her. Yep, there she is. Found her. Let's go pick her up. I love that story. It just says so much about the decline of civilization. They couldn't find you because you were filtering your photos on social media. Well, finally, some good news. And we love the good news on this show, especially the good news. Some kids have solved one of the 21st century's greatest threats to mankind. Some kids solved it. 3 teenagers, and we're going back to India for this story. So there's good things and good things coming out of India. 3 teenagers found a microplastic solution in their kitchen, and now they're winning global awards for it. Again, not going to try to pronounce their names, but 3 teenagers from India. After studying environmental science and visiting a rural community where drinking water is stored in shared containers without any filtration, they came home and started experimenting. They found something in their kitchen cabinet that ended up being the solution. These 3 teenagers have invented a product called Plastic that uses a common kitchen item as a natural binding agent. Added to water and agitated briefly, it clumps invisible microplastic particles into a visible mass that can then be pulled out with a handheld magnet. No electricity, no complex infrastructure, no chemicals, just a crop that grows widely across South Asia. And because apparently this particular item has an electrical charge, and it's powdered tarramin seed. That's it. It's just that simple. Isn't that beautiful? The trio won the Earth Prize for Asia 2026, which comes with $12,500 each to scale their invention. Their goal is to expand production hubs across rural India, reaching communities where more than 2 billion people across the globe still lack access to safely managed drinking water. And, at some point they had to be, there's kids messing around with the kitchen, and they probably got yelled at by somebody's mom for making a mess. But they did it. And 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, "For God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong." That's the show. Until next time, may God bless you with health, joy, and wisdom.